What's going on with the Chronic? I know we've got a big announcement coming today. Indiana expected to land Jalen HoodSchifino. That is the talk, but until that actually happens, you can't count on that. But that is how it's looking. So hopefully that goes well for them.
It's going to be a big day. I mean, this is one of those things where we've talked about it before. Recruiting is early on when you really haven't had any game film to analyze yet. We're still in the honeymoon phase between this new staff and the team, the fan base, but also the recruits. And you're selling your vision, you're selling your dream of what the team's going to look like, what the system's going to be, and how these kids are going to fit in. And it's really it's critically important. I think when you look back at Archie and when you look back at Crean, how you set yourself up for success, because let's be honest, there's not a whole lot of patience for programs like Indiana basketball as far as the expectation of success and how long they're going to give you to start achieving it. And at the end of the day, it's going to come down to talent. It's going to come down to chemistry, finding the right pieces to compete at this level. And so far, huge early returns for Mike Woodson and staff. This will be a big piece, though. No differently. And I think Tamar Bates turned a lot of heads when they were to land him. And then, in the brief glimpse we've got what he's been able to contribute, Jalen's exactly that type of player, type of kid that can come in, make an immediate impact, be a contributor from day one. But more than anything, it really helps his staff set the table for other recruits, because you're not just pitching the school, you're pitching a certain roster and certain combinations of players together. And talent attracts talent. Success breeds more success. So racking up some of these wins early on is only going to give this program more of a tailwind going down the recruiting trail forward.
I kind of wonder, Chronic, if those brief video clips, even from the Bahamas, if Jalen saw that and how Tamar Bates was used and the style of play and their success down there, maybe influenced them more.
No, I don't know how much that gets out. I don't know. I'm sure the team has tape. I'm sure they've got super cuts of it. They've got the entire thing available to them and whomever they choose to share it with. The thing that stood out to me as more and more has come out, you look at the pace of play that he has them running right now, and you got to imagine that's wildly attractive to a lot of offensive-minded recruits right now. Kids want to get up and down. They want to let the ball fly. They want to run. If you can find a kid that doesn't mind digging in on his heels on defense as well, that's a hell of a recipe for some winning basketball, it seems.
No question. And, also, the commitment it takes to play that way. And Mike Woodson even alluded to that in June about the fact that the first thing he had to do was get the whole team in the kind of condition to play the way he wants to play.
Well, and understanding that depth of talent is what's going to facilitate that. If you've got 5 guys that are able to play at a high level, but they're going 100% nonstop, you got to have somebody to come in and give them a break. You've got to be able to keep the energy, the intensity up, and without having too much of a drop off in production. So, I think that's where the chemistry end of it comes in. Recognizing there's going to be 3-4 guards on this roster that are probably capable of starting at any time. Recognizing whether you get the nod for the start or you're the first or second guy off the bench, doesn't matter. The expectation is still you got to go out there and produce on both ends of the floor, and your energy has to be at a peak the entire time. That's how you earn the minutes with it. And when you get guys that are willing to come in, and bring that talent level commensurate with what the expectation is, but that also have the humility to recognize, that they're a part of a bigger thing, whether they're on the floor, for 20 minutes or 25 minutes, whether they start or they're coming off the bench, doesn't matter, so long as everybody's reaching the goal at the end of the game.
And Montverde Academy, they produce a different type of player than a kid coming out of high school. They are gearing these guys. They are getting them ready for this level. It's almost like they've gone to a prep school if they've gone to and prepping for college. Exactly. Because they're a step closer to being ready. If they're coming from whether it's IMG or Montverde, anything like that, these are guys that can step in every time. It's rare that a guy that comes from one of these places can't step in and play if you need him to. And I think that this is exactly one of those guys that's going to step right in and going to put pressure on whoever is starting at the time. And if he doesn't get that spot, then he's going to make that spot better. So it just continues to work in Indiana's favor. Ray Miller, that you mentioned earlier, Kevin, will be on with us tomorrow, an assistant coach of Montverde. So we'll talk with him after the decision is made today. Hopefully it goes Indiana's way. But that you've also got a Noah Clowney that's out into the future, waiting to make his decision. A big guy that would be just a completion of. It would just be a completion of Mike Woodson's recruiting, and any and everyone that second guess what he could do would just put all of that just like, it's over, man. Just be quiet.
No, and that's the thing. There's momentum already around the program. You see it. You can tell. One of the best sounding bells though is when you see these kids start to pop. You know it's real. The message is resonating. You know that the connections are there. But more importantly, these kids are talking amongst themselves as well, because none of these decisions are being made in a vacuum. These guys are all trying to position themselves to prepare for the next level as well. And, obviously, when you're recruiting at this level, the kids you're bringing in all have pro aspirations. They all recognize, though, and it's the same pitch that the prep schools are making to them. You want to get better, you got to come play against the best. And you got to be prepared to fight for that spot. You got to be prepared to fight for those minutes. And, getting kids to come in with that mindset, it's contagious, man. And, there's going to be some that we likely miss on. And a lot of times, it's, maybe it's somewhat a reflection of the relationship with the staff and the kid. A lot of times, too, it's those kids looking at their path forward and self-assessing whether or not they think that's going to be a viable path for them to ascend to the next level. And, quite honestly, there's a lot more self-awareness than what they probably want to give credit for. Sometimes you're just going to see they don't think they're up to the challenge. On the other end of it, the kids that know they're going to have to come in behind a veteran or behind a guy that was maybe a higher ranked recruit that are still willing to come in and fight for it, man, you got to love it. That's exactly the mindset you want to see coming in as they're trying to establish a new culture.